Happy Friday, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Susie Say That. Today's topic is we are not divided. That is, those of us that follow the Christ, we are not divided. We are one body. We are one body. There's some things that's going on that should not be going on in the church. And I'm talking about the saying that people are stealing members, and they've been saying it for years. People are stealing members, and if you go visit another church, then something must have happened at your church. And I realize that we are a living organism. We're a family. So families have certain dynamics, but those dynamics should not be part of us. That's part of the world. Those kind of dynamics should not be part of us. It should not be named among us because the world wants to escape all that. That's where the world comes from. The world comes from being persecuted, lied on, gossip about, and all these other things. They don't want to come into church and get that same thing. They're looking for this Christ that you brag about. They're looking for this one Christ, the head of the church. They're looking for this Christ that you brag about, that was born, that died, that rose. They're looking for that. The world wants that. They're just not looking for a church. They want to know. They want to know these things. And then you turn their stomachs the moment that they come into the church because you saying all this crazy stuff. And they're saying, oh, that reminds me of my world family. And then they leave. They don't stay long enough because you're busy gossiping and saying things about the church, the other church on the other side of town. You're busy saying things about that. And then when you see another member come over just to visit, you automatically assume that they're mad at their church. What is that? What is that? Think about it. What is that? Just because another member comes from another church, we're one body, right? Christ is the head and we are the body. And we're all different parts of the body. All different parts of the body, okay? Your church could be a spiritual warfare presence there. That's what the pastor teach on. But still, he understands. Christ is the head. There's only one birth, one death, one resurrection. He understands that clearly, but his mission is to teach about spiritual warfare. The other church could be teaching about finances, but they should understand, and they do understand. I believe most understand, but the other ones just, yeah, but okay, we ain't talking about that. We're talking about the one Christ being the head. We're talking about the one Christ being the head. Okay, I want you to get that in your spirit. That we're talking about the one, when you go into that church or you go to fellowship with other believers, the whole thing is the body of Christ. He is the head. There is only one head. There's only one birth. There's only one death. There's only one resurrection. He is the head of it. We are the body that consists of many parts. We consist of many parts. We're intricate building. That's what we are. We're intricate building. We're a body. We're intricate. I mean, we got all these organs, all these muscles, all these trillions of cells, all these bones. We got like 600 bones. I think it's 600 bones, 200 muscles, 70 something organs, trillions of cells. And Christ called us a body. So we have different parts of us that does different things. For example, if you say, hey, Susie, do you want to come over to my church on Tuesday? We got this amazing program. And I heard you like stuff like that. And I said, okay, well, let me see what I got going on Tuesday. Because I don't know what my Tuesday look like. I have a planner. So then I come home, look at my plan. I said, girl, I'm going to meet you there. But then as soon as I get into your church, and I'm a believer, I follow the Christ. But as soon as I get in your church, into this church, there's people looking and all this other kind of stuff. And then when I leave, did she leave her church? How? How do I leave my church? Because my church is an entire body. I belong to the church as a whole. And then some of you all accuse other churches of stealing members when the facts are they went to that church and they found what they need. They found their niche. They found the part of the body that they fit in. It wasn't personal that they left. They didn't leave Christ. They went to another part of the body where they were needed at. You don't know what that church needs. You don't know that, why they left, why Christ told them to leave. Maybe they need a intercessor at that church. And Christ said, now it's time to go. I need for you to go here and intercede at this church. Because I had 10, but one of them left and never came back because he wasn't part of me in the first place. Understand this, what I'm telling you today. We are one. We are not divided. And Jesus made that perfectly clear when he said to Peter, upon this rock, I build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. So I don't care what Satan is doing. We as the body, we can't lose with the stuff that God used. He already told us. The gates of hell will not prevail against it. So you're going to have people coming in and out of the church because some of them just don't belong there. They're trying to find their niche. They're trying to find what part of the body they belong in. Believers. And sometimes they've got so much church hurt that they just skip and go to different churches until they find that niche, until they understand that, no, I need a home. I've never been a church hopper. I belonged to 2 churches my entire life. I've never been to a church that wasn't for me. I like home. I like the essence of family. I like to go and just talk about things and air out things. Okay? So quit just thinking that when people leave their one church, you just come up with all your assumptions of what happened with them. They're one body. You don't know what Christ is telling them how to move. You move like that, they move like this. You don't know. But you're sitting up there seeing all these bad things, and you don't know what you're talking about. We got to get better. We got to do better. In the church, we got to do better. We got to ask God to help us not be judgmental, because the world is coming in there, and they're coming by droves. They're coming because they want to know your Christ. They want to know this head you serve. They want to know your consistency. They want to know, why do you serve this God? God shows us off to the world. So the world wants some of what we have, and that is the God, that is the Christ. That is to be part of something that's so beyond their understanding that they want it. Okay, so you think about that this evening. Think about that. Your church is coming up on Sunday. Think about how you act when people, if you're a small congregation, because see, at my church, I don't know who coming and who going. I just know the front row, that I'm going to get that every Sunday when I go sit there. So I really don't know who's coming and who's going. I just know that we're one body, and I don't care who's coming and who's going. I just know my place in this body. And I'm not going to be disruptive, and I'm not going to cause trouble. I'm not going to cause chaos in this body. I know that this is where I'm supposed to be, because when I wanted to leave, God said, no, you got work to do. And I stayed there. You think about that, okay? Till the next time.